everybody here today, a few familiar faces and lots of new faces, which is great. So again, thanks so much for spending your time here with us. It's really important. I'm going to just give you a little more fuller explanation of how we're going to spend the next sort of hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. The next item on the agenda, Barbara from the History Center is going to come up and really explain to you and describe some really sort of important moments in the history of the Common. So that'll be really exciting, and sort of to kick off your thinking, to understand that the Commons had some different uses and elements in the past, and that all that means is that the future is wide open as well, which is what we want you all thinking about. We are also going to do a sort of group exercise with everybody. We want to hear from everyone about their thoughts on the Common, and David Gamble and I are going to sort of talk through that with all of you. After that, we're going to break into groups, as Brad mentioned. There are 4 stations with 4 different topics, so we're going to count off, and you're going to end up in a group with people, some people you may not know, some people you will know, and have small group discussions, so we're making sure we're getting input from all of you on these 4 topics. We'll then come back all together and have a summary of all the things we've been hearing as the group of facilitators here that we've heard from all of you, sort of pull out the common themes that we heard to come back and wrap up the morning. Okay? So with that, Barbara, come on up.
Want me to stand over there?
Well, it's up to you, whatever your comfort is.
I think there's better historians about the Common, but when I was doing the research, I'm Barbara Brown from the Lawrence History Center, and if you don't know where that is, that's at the corner of Union and across from Holy Rosary Parish. It says Essex Company outside, and it also says Immigrant City Archives. And some people, I want to start with this, some people don't realize that where we're standing now used to be Methuen. So in 1845, land was purchased from Methuen and Andover to create the city of Lawrence. So I think that's kind of important to think about, right? Because this was undeveloped property when Lawrence was created. Lawrence then becomes Lawrence in 1847 and becomes a city in 1853. Now, and I don't want to bore you, and tell me if I'm boring you, but Lawrence is really little, right? It's about 6.5 square miles. And it's built to make money. It's built to create energy, and it's built to bring workers here to create textiles. And so these men were investing money to make money. So what's significant about the Common is that they took 17.5 acres and they set it aside for the public, which meant they weren't going to make money on it. So at some point in there, even though they were capitalists, they also understood that people needed space. This was going to be an industrial community, it was going to be densely populated, and they knew that people needed fresh air. So from the very beginning, this Common has had public input. So when the Essex Company in 1848 says that they're going to give 17.5 acres to the city of Lawrence for the people say, no, we don't want it, because they're thinking who's going to take care of it, who's going to maintain it. And so there were community meetings. So what we're having today is really a continuation of the history of public input into public space. And it's really important that you're here today for that. So in 1848, after much discussion, they say, okay. And part of the agreement was that there would be agents from the mills and the Essex Company who would maintain the Common, and they had to spend a minimum of $300 a year to maintain the Common. How different that is today when we look at the grants that we're applying for today. Now I want to tell you, talk about where the bandstand is, and there's that concrete pit there. In 1857, it was built as a pond for goldfish. Now these stories I'm telling you are not apocryphal, they're from the city documents that were reported to the city council throughout the years. And what I think is so funny about this is there were goldfish and hornpout fish that were put into this pond. And according to the document, the pond was a breeding pond for goldfish. But due to the laziness of the fish and the overindulgence of the people feeding the fish died out. I just think that's really a story. And this is in a city document, right? In 1859, there was a fountain installed into the pond, and at the height of the fountain, it would go as high as 80 feet high. It was an extraordinary sight elm trees and maple trees planted throughout. By 1914, the pond had become, it was concreted over, and it became a wading pool, or as they said, sometimes a bathing place for children, because the tenements didn't have great indoor bathing. And so the children would use the pond, and it became a skating rink in the wintertime. And all of this is in the city documents, because they're constantly talking about maintenance. The common originally was surrounded by a fence. The whole common was surrounded by a fence. Maintenance was a problem, it was unsightly, and eventually they took down the fence and they surrounded the common with concrete curbing. In 1883, a drinking fountain was installed in the common, and I think, do we have drinking fountains in the common today? Unfunctioning. So the first one that went in was at the corner of Common and Lawrence Street, and it was a really big deal to have a drinking fountain in the common. What's really significant, now this common was built as public space. It was not built as a public garden. I've been to Boston, we have the Boston Common, and we have the public garden. And the Boston Common is for people to walk around. The public garden is this beautiful garden space, right, with exotic plants. The Common in Lawrence was built as public space. It was open space for people. But in the late 1880s, Frederick Olmsted, have any of you been to Central Park in New York City?
I have.
Yes. Or if you went to the Fenway in Boston, or the Emerald Necklace in Boston, Frederick Olmsted is the landscape architect who designed those public spaces. And so the city fathers thought, you know, we really need to beautify this common a little bit more. And they brought this world-famous landscape architect to Lawrence to take a look at this. And what he looked at was overplanting of the trees. He looked at the grass. He looked at the walkways. He looked at the amenities. And under his recommendations, he said we should install over 250 settees. We would call them park benches today. They called them settees then. The trees were planted too close together. He said we need to separate these trees out. So we have a shade canopy, but also allows grass seed. And do not walk on the grass. Those signs are not just a 21st century thing. There were signs throughout the common at that point. Please don't walk on the seeding. And so I think that's a really incredible thing. But throughout these processes, the public was always involved because it was a public space. And I think we need to remember that. So when you're thinking about changes and amenities to the common today, your voice is what's important to bring to the table. What do we want this open space to be? Another thing that Olmsted designed when he came was a playground for children. That goes way back to the 19th century, a playground for children. And what I found most incredible was a running track over my neighborhood, which I thought was really interesting. So it isn't just exercise that we have today, it went all the way back to that point too. Again, there wasn't a lot of open space in the city of Lawrence. It was really important to have this open space. And so we had a playground, running track, we had a canopy of trees, and he put in hundreds of bulbs to beautify the common. The common is used for many things, and you here in this room could tell me more things that it's used for than I could tell you. But one of the most significant events that historically known around the world is the Red Roses Strike. The strikers met there, they voted to end the strike there. There were big meetings there, and by 1912, when that took place, the improvements that Olmsted had made were pretty much wiped out. The city was overpopulated, overworked, overcrowded, and the space was not in really good shape. So for a lot of years, there wasn't a lot of improvements made to the common. But that event is just one of many. If you think about the events, Semana Hispana, we have the Bread and Roses Festival every year on the common today. We have, throughout the years, we've had peace marches and anti-violence marches and all types of ethnic festivals and community festivals there. And it just went right in and out of my mind right there. But the other thing I wanted to say was that we also call the common, I'm wrapping it up, right? I was just going to say this last thing. We call it Campagnoli Common. Does anybody here know why we call it that? And again, this came from the public. In World War II, there was a family that had 4 sons that were fighting in World War II. 3 of them were killed within a year of each other. And the family was devastated. And the common is in the Italian history. And so they named the common after that family. So again, it acknowledge that